There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Episode 123, a little turning grips Q&A. I feel like, is it brighter in here, or is it just?
I think it gets brighter every episode. I've been saying that for a few months.
Hello.
I'm already sweating a little bit.
Yeah, right. Anyway, hello everybody. We saw that there's people from down under.
Yeah,
we saw
Australia.
people just waking up, having this with coffee. I'm sorry. I was hoping that you could start your day with something a little better than us, but we're kidding, sort of.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here, though. Turning grips Q&A. We're going to talk about handle materials, proper tools and techniques, and then, of course, bring your questions. We've got the war room ready tonight. Birdman's in there. Steve's in there. He even brought his wife. That's how big of a show it's going to be. I think he needs her help with some organization. So ask your questions. We'll try to get them answered the best we can. And then we're also going to make a huge mess on the show.
Yeah.
I think we got the shop vac around here somewhere.
Oh, yeah, it's right under here. Ready to go.
Perfect. So that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, we already got a full table of stuff. I see you got the chisels. You got all kinds of cork rings and grips, all different variations. You got some EVA, bunch of cutting tools over there.
Yes. I even sort of boogered one up just so you could see what to do and what not to do, and then also can you still make it work if you booger it up? So we're gonna show that too. And we also know that not everybody in the rod building world has all of this at their disposal. So, for those that are experts at this, all this grip making and stuff, between Mary Christie and some of the greats out there that do this for truly a living. I mean, we do it for a living, but they really, they have band saws and they had some other really cool cutting tools that we don't have here. It is the Penthouse, but it's not, it's not a full service workshop. So we're going to show you some workarounds. I mean, I got a miter box here, show you how to cut some stuff up, run it on the RBS Pro G2. Just kind of, if you don't have a big budget workshop, or if you're not doing this full time, but you want to dabble in a little bit of grip making, we're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Yep. As you said, episode 123. Hey,
Mary Christie's even in here.
Hey,
Thank
awesome.
goodness. Ask her all the questions and just,
exactly.
leave us out of it.
She's the expert.
Perfect.
Yeah, handle materials, proper tools, and of course, your questions, most importantly, right? So we'll save a little time at the end to answer your questions, and we'll do it throughout too. So chime in anytime.
We're not going to keep you too late tonight.
Yeah.
You got some housekeeping?
I got some housekeeping. So one of our pro team members, Jim Crowley, he is having on his Slick Fish Radio podcast, he's having one of our other pro team members, Matt Steffen. That's going to be Thursday, 6:30 Central Standard Time. That's going to be on Jim's Facebook page, which is Jim Crowley Outdoors, I believe, Facebook page.
Yeah, Birdman is going to put in a link here in the comments so that you guys can star it and check it out on Thursday night.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
absolutely.
I don't remember it off, but it is Jim Crowley Outdoors / something.
Yep, that's it on Facebook. So again, this Thursday, 2 days away, 6:30 Central Standard Time, not Eastern Time. So make sure you got your clock style.
There are other time zones.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. Moving on. A couple weeks ago, we had a grand reopening event here at Mudhole to showcase our new showroom and all the new tackle, rods, reels, and good things down there. So we got some clips from that. We had over 400 people show up on a Saturday for a few hours. It was from 10 to 2. We gave away tons of raffles. it's really saw a huge crowd come in from the local area. We've got Kenny there on the line spooler.
Running the spooling machine?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, Bob's there.
There's my dad.
Good Lord, whatever was said there.
We had a huge crowd of people. We had some of our, existing rod building customers, and we had some new folks, some new faces we haven't seen that, love to
there.
I was there. Love to see the tackle and all the, rods and reels and everything going on there. So if you're in the local Oviedo area or Orlando area for that matter, check out the new Mudhole showroom. We have a lot of new awesome products in there, and that's, even if you're not a rod builder, some really cool stuff in there.
Wait a second. So you're saying that someone can come and get rod building stuff and then buy a fishing reel to go on their fishing rod and put line on the reel that goes on the rod and then buy a lure to tie on it to go fishing?
Makes sense, right?
That doesn't seem that crazy, does it?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, me personally, I like to go to 4 different websites and drive to 5 different stores to buy what I need. But for those that want to come to one place and get the good stuff, I mean, we're talking, we've got baits, reels, we've got super high-end Shimano stuff, we've got Daiwa stuff, we've got Sunline, we've got no live bait needed, we got 6 Sense, we've got it, and we've got the good stuff. This is not Walmart down there. So even if you're not a rod builder, come
apparel.
by.
We've got apparel,
Free
accessories
fly,
for your boat.
Free fly, marshwear,
AFCO.
AFCO.
We got Bahio sunglasses. Yeah, absolutely.
Everything you need for fishing. It's
really a one-stop shop for most of your fishing needs.
Yeah.
And we've had a little bit of pushback, some comments about, what are you guys doing? Where are you going? What's going on? We're not getting away from rod building. This is just an extension of new products. And again, if you're building a rod, we're assuming you're fishing.
Yeah.
Right? Why not buy the reel and the line and all those other things one stop?
So you're saying that snow tires and oil filters are not coming for 2026?
Nah.
Man.
Nope.
Say, we got room in the back though.
We do,
put
but
in a lift.
no.
We could get Brooke out there.
we're gonna stick to
balancing some
fishing.
tires.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine what the guys on Facebook would say if we started carrying refrigerators.
Yeah, no kidding.
Holy cow.
But by no means are we, trying to get away from rod building. Actually, the opposite. We're going to talk about some new products here in a second, some rod building new products. But again, this was the showroom was really focused on catering to our local crowd, and a lot of these fishing products, reels, line tackle, they're also going to make their way to the website. A lot of them already have.
Yeah.
So check out. There's a new section, a new updated section on our website, reels and gear. And you can browse through there and check out again, reels, line, tackle and baits, bags, backpacks and bags you can put on or take in your boat, put all your stuff in there.
Well, imagine if you're already shopping and you're already at free shipping, it's like,
add a couple more things.
I could use another bag of Zoom Speedworms, let's be honest.
There you go.
Sweet.
So moving on. CCA Youth Scholarship Program. So last week we had a group of young students in for the CCA Youth Scholarship Program, and the guys actually filmed a lot of good content around this. So, and they got a cutaway. Let's check out that video.
Roll that.
And there you have it. So
Hope everybody liked the show.
yeah, so from Mudhole to Bahio to barramundi fishing, and then to finish it off at the Marine Discovery Center.
Yes.
Very cool.
And so the 10 kids were battling it out for a youth scholarship program through the CCA. And I mean, that kind of looked like fantasy camp to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And somebody like got some money. And in typical fashion, Hunter is going to read those winners' names, and they're real. So Hunter, go ahead. Who got $1,000 in scholarship?
It's going to be Candela Valerio.
All right.
Yep.
How about the $2,000 winner?
Kendall Crusher. Crusher.
Sure. And
Sorry,
then
Kendall.
the $3,000 winner.
That's James DeMarco.
Okay, that sounds
Yeah,
a little
I got that
better.
one.
Now, everyone in the program is still up for the $5,000 grand prize scholarship. So they give 5 in a block, in blocks, and then someone can still win the 5. Everybody's still in it, and that's about all I know about that. But it's pretty cool. We've done it the last 3 or 4 years? 4 years?
Yeah, several years.
Uncle Phil knows because he's had to be behind the camera watching people catch fish. Sounds fun. Hunter's got some new products before we get into all of this. And we did notice that there's some people, where was the one? Somebody said that they hope it's a good show because he got out of the pool for this. Kurt, man, I feel you. I hope it's going to be a good one too. I know it is bikini season, so, stay with us. We're not going to keep you all night, I promise. Get the hot tub going. So, Hunter, what are the new products?
New products. So let's kick it off. We got some new Fuji carbon grips. So if you go to our homepage, scroll down to the new products section. These are front and center. And also, you've got them behind us too.
Yep.
So if you guys are familiar with Fuji's TCH reel seats, these carbon grips are the grips to mate and match to those specific reel seats.
Those are for VSS.
And yeah, so VSS styles. What's very cool is we actually have we and Fuji have 2 different colorways of this carbon. Traditional solid black, and then also we got this cool 2-tone gray and black kind of mix to it. So if you want a little bit lighter color scheme, you can kind of go with this, lighter gray, or just go with the traditional black carbon fiber.
Yep. And that one has a little bit of that one's the long, so it has a little bell on the end there. You see how you're holding it with
Oh,
come on now.
you mean this end?
Yeah, that
There
is.
you
It's
go.
got a little bit of a bell on it. And then this one is like the regular, so there's no bell on the end here. Zoom. Perfect. Now, I will say, I'm a VSS fan, right? So here's the VSS, the TCH version. I don't think I have ever seen a VSS grip that fits that good
That's very good.
on the seat. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. So I'll be stealing a few of these and building them up. And of course, they also have the threaded hood sleeve there. I got that one right there, and it just right on the top. And of course, as Hunter said, they come in 2 colorways. And yeah.
Yeah,
those
so
are cool.
I think we brought in the hood covers several months ago. Now we have the rear grips to match these. So now you can, trick out your entire TCH handle setup
Yeah.
with 4 grip covers or hood covers. And
The
then
one I want
also
to show.
the rear grips.
Yeah. This one is super unique. And it is the TCRG. I think it stands for triangle or something, right? So look at this grip. It's off center. The hole is off center, right? And the grip is not round. Look at that thing, right?
Pretty cool.
Look at this. You can see it's got some flat spots. It's kind of like triangular there, right? And then it's just not centered. Now this side is perfectly centered, right? And, hang on just a second. All right. This fit, nope. Stand by.
Got a lot of goodies in there,
I know,
Chris.
right? So this fits this is the micro trigger seat, right? I know. You guys are like checking out my pores. Okay, so that fits that. And it has a really cool kind of a shape. When you put your hand kind of like on it, see how it's kind of like a little triangular there, sort of, right?
Flatter on top.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's really cool. I haven't seen, this is new, you know? Like somebody's actually going, okay, let's do something different and not just making like a regular barrel seat. Now keep in mind, you know, you don't want this to be wonky, right? And that's going the wrong way. So, and it will spin. So please pay attention that the triangle is aligned with your trigger on the bottom, right? So there it is. Cool.
Sweet. Lots of new Fuji stuff to dig into. All right, let's move on. Lamaglass blanks. So you guys, if you're on our newsletter, you probably saw the email yesterday go out for Lamaglass blanks. So obviously a very storied brand, been around in rod building for, oh man, 70 years, I think, 60, 70 years. And has recently been reinvigorated by the same family, the Posey family. Mr. John Posey specifically is back in charge now, and they are back up and running, making blanks and all that good stuff here in the United States. So Lamaglass obviously is very well known for salmon steelhead, you know, surf blanks, things of that nature. So make sure you guys check out our selection of Lamaglass blanks. Those are all technically not new models, but we have reintroduced Lamaglass as a stocked brand for mud holes. So check out Lamaglass blanks. Been around in the rod building industry for a very, very long time. Last but not least, also that was released, I believe last week, was our summertime bassin rod kits. Put together, curated by none other than my father, Bob McCamey.
Oh, Uncle Bob.
Yep, he knows a thing or two about summertime bassin. And
About a thing or two.
He knows a thing or two about putting together some rod kits. So check those out. You know, if you guys are looking for, you know, some cranking rods to throw out on the ledges up and down the Tennessee River, or if you're just looking for some summertime bassin kits to catch some, you know, pesky fish that are out deep, maybe on a nice spinning rod or something like that. These kits are not only they're well put together, great components, great price points, but there's a few things included that we've done with these, and that we've done with all rod kits, is we include what's called a rod recipe. So in your package, when you actually purchase one of these rod kits, you will get a printed copy of this rod recipe, and it's going to tell you guide spacing, what comes in the kit, and it's going to kind of point you in the right direction to actually build out one of these summertime bassin kits. Or, like I said, any of our rod kits, they will come with a rod recipe. So, again, you know, tells you where to put your guides, gives you, you know, some suggestions on maybe your handle layout and things like that. It's a plug and play, you know, rod kit. So we've curated these, you know, with specific intentions in mind, you know, technique specific, or in this case, a seasonal pattern for bass. So we're going to keep coming out with these different types of rod kits, whether they're seasonal or technique specific. I know we're going to be doing some panfish and ultralight kits soon. We're going to be doing some saltwater kits, some walleye kits. So if you guys have any suggestions on rod kits, put them in the chat right now. We're always hungry for more ideas, more. What do you guys want to see in rod kits? If you're a fan of purchasing that way, some guys want to buy their individual components, but we try to make rod building fun and enjoyable as possible. So we curate these kits. It's a one button buy, and you know, if there are kits you guys want to see, let us know. Let's hear it. So. Yeah. And last but not least, before we get into it, I'm going to stop blabbing in a second here. Giveaways. We know
that's why they're here.
Everyone loves giveaways. So, first giveaway of the night, which we'll do after the first giveaway is going to be a sanding kit. So, Chris is going to put together a nice little kit for you. Might have some materials, might have some of the tools that you guys see up here.
Why not?
Yeah, a little mystery kit. Second place giveaway is going to be a set of 3 of our 18-inch Reamers. And then last but not least, grand prize rod kit of choice, which you can't go wrong. We got our summertime kits, we've got our post-spawn kits that are still on the website, and obviously lots of other rod kits to choose from. MHX, Mudhole, Color Series rod kits, lots of good stuff. So, cool. What you got?
that's pretty good.
Just wrap it up.
Yeah, just wrap it up right there. All right, let's get to it. So I've seen some questions coming in here. We appreciate it. Somebody actually mentioned that they thought we looked like Beavis and Butthead. So
Pretty accurate.
that's kind of interesting. You know, I see it, I guess. Maybe it's the lights. Anyway, let's talk about handle materials a little bit and kind of how we go about that. So we have Cork and EVA, and we have a bunch of different, like, I mean, I'm not saying it's endless, but we've got EVA in cylinders, right? This is what, CM
18?
18, CM 18.
18-inch sections.
So they come in 18-inch sections, but the mandrels don't come in 18-inch sections, right? So you do have to cut the EVA. Most of the time, so there's your full length, right? And then there's your mandrel, right? It's just like kind of not going to get it done, right? So if you don't have a bandsaw, am I like, whoop? You're zoomed in still too much? Anyway, so it's too long, right? This grip is. So there's a couple ways you could go about it. If you don't have a bandsaw, I actually use a miter box, right? So you can take one of these inexpensive, like a miter box like this. It's got these little plastic. This is not CRB. This is not whatever. I think this is Stanley or something from Home Depot. I don't know. But it has all these holes in it. And then it has these little guys here. And they go in it, and you can turn them, and it pinches the grip against the wall of this thing, right? Some miter boxes will come with a saw that looks like this, right? Depending on what you're cutting, the teeth may be a little bit too aggressive, okay? Because they're not EVA miter boxes, right? You can also use, just most of the time, you can get away with a hacksaw. So like a fine bladed hacksaw, again, some come with a hacksaw, some come with more of that like wooden toothed type of a saw. So I particularly will use this. It's just a little finer. It kind of is a little easier to go through it. And then from there, I will take the grips and either go to the RBS Pro G2, because then I can cut it on there. Or we also have, and we got just a lot of like show and tell tonight too, but I am gonna spin some stuff. We also have, these are Cork Ring jigs. So this is one that allows you to put a cork ring in it and slice it. And then it also comes with a washer. And I don't remember, that's I think a 16th washer. And it goes in the bottom. And you can take, give me a cork ring, sir. Ooh. There you go. So you put a cork ring in there. Fits nice and snug. And then you can take your little, it's really a jeweler's saw, right? So this is ultra fine bladed teeth. And you can slice it like that. And that's how you get different, hand me a couple of those rings there that are thinner. Yeah. So you can get you some thin slices like that and those composites that are even thinner. And then you can even go kind of crazy and get really, really thin, even thinner like this, right? So you got a couple options there. What I tend to do when I am doing my fly grips, here's a fly grip that I glued up on, this is a 1/4 inch mandrel. Okay, somebody was asking earlier about the mandrel sizing. Almost every single piece of cork you are ever going to see in a ring like this, or, nope, there it goes, in a ring like that, or in, this is a pre-made grip. This is a 1/4 inch. We brought in some larger inner diameter cork. That's not the common, but any of your cork rings, any of your pre-made grips and stuff like that are all going to be 1/4 inch. I will take these end caps and cut them thinner. And then what I do is when I inlet the grips, the inletting tool works better with works better with a composite cork because it cuts it a little cleaner. Sometimes if your blades aren't real sharp, you could chew at this cork. So anytime I want the real seat to fit in there nice and snug. I tend to use, you'll see me, I'll block my cork off with the composite. And that's kind of like, even when you're fighting butts and different things like that, I really like doing that. It's one of those just how you kind of like to do it, right? So I don't use the miter box and stuff to cut my cork rings, because usually we're getting them, you can get them in a 1/2 or 1/4 of an inch thickness, and then I'll put them in these little jigs, and then of course, they were around here somewhere, but we have them in the slicers where you can turn them into like these. So this little checkerboard pattern, I swear I had the slicer up here, but anyway, so that slicer is where you can, hang on just a second. This guy here. Now keep in mind, I'm showing you this because this is also to be used with EVA, right? So the CM18 fits in there, so you can see it fits snug, right? Doesn't fall off, nice and snug. It's same outer diameter as your cork rings. So you can do all your cool stuff with EVA too. And the reason I say that is because for those that maybe don't want to completely make some wild, crazy custom grip, that's myself, you can come in and you can add to an existing, you can take away from an existing. I know that I had, let's see, there's a question up here somewhere. Jason asked, can we just remove / sand the material on a full grip handle to make it a split grip? You absolutely can. If you've got something that you really want to do, but you don't want to glue all the cork together, you don't want to glue all this EVA together and make different rings and do things like that, and you just want to buy, you know, a cork handle like this, you can just
turn it into that.
You can just sand it into that. I am going to show you how I create a tenon in this. It can be done, again, this is, when I'm going over some of this stuff tonight, it's not the only way to do it, okay? Sometimes I do it a couple different ways. Sometimes I do it one way. Somebody on you know, here might be like, ah, that's stupid. Why do it like that? I do it like this. Cool, have at it. I'm just giving y'all some ideas and show you how I do it. So anyway, another thing that we do is, because I am such a fan of the VSS seat, the VSS is like almost impossible to create at home. The grip, that is, because it has to be, you know, cut out, right? So on that same like question of, can you just sand them and create a split grip and a butt cap from a full length grip? Yep, you can. Well, Fuji makes a Cork VSS, right? Well, what happens if it's not like kind of just the right length, right? So I just came in for the heck of it to show you on the show tonight. This is what it looks like when you cut a full length VSS grip, and you just add a couple cork rings in here. So these are 1/4 inch cork rings. They're like blue or green burl or something. I think it's blue. And when you're gluing up your cork rings, we recommend Tight Bond 3. It's waterproof, exterior. You can use Propase, and I've done that for a really long time. But a lot of people will also say, oh no, you got to use Tight Bond. That's the only way to go. It's a great way. I've also done Propase. Now, the good news is you can then take this, put it in the RBS Pro G2, and you just turn it down and sand it, make you a big mess, but then you come out with technically a custom VSS full length. That is just one of those that you can't buy it. And I'm not saying you can't make it, but that would be pretty impressive. You know, somebody could do the VSS cutout at home. I wish I could, but the good news is we've got, you know, little shorties with the VSS rear, just like you saw with the carbon. We got that, and we've got the long one. This is for a 16. We've got it in a 17. It's a little bit bigger. So there's a couple options But you can come in here and put the mandrel and let it rip.
Pretty slick.
I know, right? Now with this one, I actually use the clamps. So these are the Allen keyed clamps. I don't use the grip clamps from CRB because of the top of the VSS. So I just dropped that down, and then hopefully I didn't glue this to the handle. And then that clamp was down in there to keep it snug. And then you just pull this one off, right? Just Allen key it off like that. Most of the time though, if it is on real snug, like it was before, I would turn this before you break it loose, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, and then you might say, well, what do we just have to sand that? Well, no, not really. You want to pull that out and I'll make a little bit of a mess. Yeah, see, it's you all right? Yeah, Ron's asking,
Caught that edge.
is there a pattern available to cut the VSS style handle grip?
Freehand.
Ron, if you find one, call me, please.
I want to see you make that with a Dremel, Chris.
Yeah, right. Just freehand.
Dremel. Yeah.
Okay, so on this RBS Pro G2, did it get you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the RBS Pro G2 has, watch yourself, let me turn it, has these rubber teeth, right? I got it spun around so you guys, so there's rubber teeth here, all right? If you look, and I don't have the tracks on it, so I'm going to pick it up and show you. Yep. Okay. If you look down in there, let's see if you can see it. There's metal like teeth in there. So you can sort of kind of see the little .01 right in there. So what I do is when I'm turning grips, I don't put the mandrel in the rubber. I actually put it in those teeth, and that's why I tape it, because I can really, really bite into that tape and that mandrel, but don't do it with a rod blank because you will split it big time. So you actually just take it and you can put the mandrel down in the chuck a little far. You got to spin it the right way there, Adams.
You're backwards.
Yeah. We'll get there. So then I clamp that in there, and that really pretty much is going to go nowhere. Now, to turn it, I have, so there's a couple different tools, right? So I'll show you this one. This is called a skew chisel. It's on an angle, right? You can get you like an 8-piece wood turning set. Pretty inexpensive, but they're pretty hefty. I mean, I want to say that this one, it's like an 8-piece set, and it's got a couple different, it's got like a rounded edge or whatever. This one's got, it's pointed, and it's a little narrower. The whole set, I think, was like $59. So it's pretty decent. Go slow, but run the RBS Pro High, and your dial is out here on the front. So this is what's going to, this 118 has nothing to do with like how many RPMs. So for those that run this thing, should know that. I don't even know if I want to trust that cloth mask. That looks like Ron found that in his pool before he got out. So where that mask came from. So I'm just going to hold my breath, but remember, kids, safety first. So you want to spin it up pretty quick. Make sure everything's tight. Now, you can just take it and sand it, but we'll be here forever. So I'm just going to sort of chisel away at this, if you will. Right?
Pun intended.
Yeah, right? So who's cleaning this up? And you can get like down really close or not, or, you know, it depends. Because you do have to leave you a little bit of room for your sandpaper. This, I think, is this is the fine. It's the 120. I think we've got 80, 120, and I don't remember what else. Phil, is that really loud on my mic? It's like, no. Like, what?
Yeah, they can't hear anything.
Yeah, what'd he say? So there you go. So that is down pretty good. Remember that, and we'll talk about this later though too. Sometimes the material, one material sands different than the other. I forgot to wet this. This is a magic eraser. So sometimes we'll use magic eraser for cleaning EVA and cleaning cork grips. So technically a magic eraser, when it's wet, is somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 grit, because it is a little abrasive. So that's why, like, you don't want to take a magic eraser and go to like your car or fiberglass on your boat. But it'll give you a pretty good idea of like what it kind of looks like. So that looks pretty sharp. It's a little more of a broadside there. So that's a custom grip, sort of, without, like, you know, if somebody wants to make that their signature, but they want to use a VSS. So that's an option, right?
Sweet.
God, I look ridiculous with these glasses on. Anyway, so yeah, use that too, because then you could take, all these grips come with like a bunch of chalky filter stuff all over it, so that always makes it look pretty nice. So anyway, yeah,
it's pretty cool.
that's
So
a really color kind of, it's that burl.
you took, just going back to kind of how you put all that together, you took a full-length VSS
Yes.
or a split grip?
No.
Full length, and then
VSS.
you just chopped it up,
Yeah,
like
so
into different smaller pieces, and then just kind of sandwich the cork rings in there?
So the way that I will do this, when I cut this, and I'll cut it again for you, I take either this really, really fine blade, I mean, and this is so, fine. This is like a jeweler saw, and it gives me a really nice, like, edge, and I'll come through and, like, pick a seam. Also, if you wanted to, like, rob the VSS portion of this grip off, you can spin it up real high and you can see the seam. And it gives you like a perfect
Oh,
cut.
that's clean.
So like I'm not saying that's as clean as you can get, but that is clean. And I tried to cut it as close to a seam as I could. It's not to say that you can't do it with other, you could do it with a utility knife and kind of be careful, but don't just grab a razor blade and do this freehanded. If you're going to do it, get you one of these, and then, I'll have you sign an NDA that says that I told you to do this when you do this, but it's still pretty safe. Just, you got to run this really fast and go really slow, and you're fine. So for those that maybe are scared of an alcohol burner, maybe don't do that, because that's a sharp object. But yeah, you can use your jeweler saw. I use that for a lot of things. I cut EVA into like little rings with that. I cut cork rings into it. I'll show you how to do the tenon with it, things like that.
Yeah.
So that gives you, I would venture to say that gives you a better cut than even some of these slicing jigs and such.
I definitely
Or trying
agree
to
with
take
you.
like you try to take a hacksaw to this thing, or the other hard part about this is, for those that were asking, these slicing jigs and things like that are meant for full size, I had you over there. You were like, oh, easy to get. No. These are meant for like full size rings, not like the VSS. It's narrow because it's already been shaped and done and all that stuff. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Very helpful tool. You guys, you probably didn't see Chris actually use it because it's kind of behind the rod wrapper here, but the CRB Pro hand and tool rest, that thing is
Gone forever.
Yeah, whatever that was is gone. But
Yeah.
again, you probably didn't see Chris exactly, but he was, you know, every tool he used when he was just, whether it was the what are those things called? The chisel.
Yeah, the skew chisel.
The skew chisel, or even when you just use that jeweler saw, your hand was rested on that tool stand, and that, you know, definitely helps you get a cleaner, straighter cut.
And I do it when I'm like finishing,
Yeah.
you know, as well. Since I've already made a mess, and we're, you know, we're kind of jumping around a little tonight. Not that we're really jumping around, but we're kind of jumping around. I wanted to show you real quick, since I already kind of had the demo and doing cork. So we lengthened that one grip, right? If you want to shorten a grip, but you have a tenon. So this grip, we'll just imagine, because this tenon was a normal tenon length, which I think is usually like 1/4 of an inch, right? So it was down here like this. So imagine the grip extended all the way down to here, right? And you only had probably 1/4 of an inch of a tenon for either, you know, a butt cap like this one or like a CBC or whatever. This goes on a VSS, so it is a little deeper. You can see that that tenon is a little deeper. That's a VSS tenon. Most of them are a little shorter for like a CBC. What will happen is, I'm gonna just cut this off so you can. So imagine that that tenon is no longer there, right? And you're like, oh man, I really want to use that grip, but I got to shorten it. So most of the time what I will do is I will still have my skew chisel, but I will create a new tenon line wherever I want it. If I want it way up here and I want to take like 4 inches off of this grip, sometimes, you know, if something isn't in stock, or maybe you wanted, like, we have a 9 and a 10, but you wanted a 9.5, and it's just like, well, what do we do? We're just going to move the tenon up a little bit. This is a straight taper, so we don't have to worry about like, oh, well, now the tenon's not going to match up. So what I do is I will create a new tenon line, but use the saw before you do anything else. And we're not going to go all the way through it, okay? There's a little bit of feel there, right? You got to watch how deep the blade goes. I don't have a perfect, like, you only go this far or that far, right? There's not a perfect answer. You got to have a little feel. Okay, so now that has given me a guide, because if you try to do this with sandpaper, you're probably going to end up with a radiused edge, all right? And a radiused edge with a butt cap, now granted, I know this is not a butt cap, but a radiused edge with a butt cap, it just doesn't sit flush, right? Because you would have to cut this back to get the radius to go away, because this is going to be flush if it's a butt cap. And I know this is not a butt cap. So what I do is I cut that, and then I just work my way in. And right when you get to it, you can see it kind of go bink and pop off, right? So you've reached that tenon cut line. And see, we're cutting it, but it's still maintaining a very, very hard edge right there on your tenon line. Because again, if it's not a hard edge, now remember, I'm working off of this existing tenon, which I think earlier when I measured it was like 19.3 millimeters, right? So I'm just able to match this. If you didn't have a tenon to match it against, you're going to have to use your digital calipers, measure the inside of your butt cap, and then you're going to have to transfer that measurement out. Okay, but we're able to kind of cheat here. And then when we get kind of close, so you can see this little step up from it, right? So now we just got to get rid of that step up. And I kind of just use the flat, like the straight edge of that skew chisel there. And I know, I'm sure that some people are like grimacing when I do that. But remember, we're not working with like a hard wood here or like acrylic. And I'm just using it on the last like 30/2 of an inch of cork and just touching it to just run a flat spot. So, you know, you're welcome to send me hate mail. But that's, you know, you're not going to just put your chisel flat against it and go down it like that. You're going to work it at an angle, just like I was doing before. And then that last little 32nd or 64th, I just push the chisel right to it and let it just whoop, and flatten it out. So then we've maintained our tenon all the way up. And then, of course, when you're done with your tenon, you need to mark where you cut it. And then you just cut it like we did before. And then we've shortened that grip by that much. And just whoop, get rid of it and then tenon it up. You can see how straight that edge is there. Okay? Super.
Nice. Good stuff.
This is a big enough mess for now.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Oh, yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah, we got
your new haircut.
We got some good questions.
I need a haircut like
can you mix cork and EVA together in one grip?
Yeah.
Yep. Sure can.
So the one thing that you have to worry about though, and it's not a big worry, but here's a piece that I did. Now this is huge cork rings. And these also have a 3/8 of an inch inner diameter. It's going to match most of your EVA blocks, right? Aren't these, what are these, EVA block, I think?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was something
pretty easy.
Ridiculous.
Part number.
Yeah, right? So, cork to EVA. You do have to understand, though, when you go to sand these materials on this edge here, it's just like when you have a composite cork and a regular cork. They sand at different rates, okay? So if you just like press sandpaper against this, once you get it, this is all squared off, right, with my, on the lathe with the chisel. But once you start to sand this, the EVA is going to sand at a different rate. So you can absolutely do it. Here I've glued 2 rings, and that's not coming off. I think I used contact cement. I always use contact cement when I go EVA to EVA, but I'm pretty sure I did contact cement cork to EVA too. Yeah, I think I did that. Yes, I did. I can see it here. Yeah, I used contact cement, and this is not coming off, and you can see how good that line is there. That like transition line is really, really nice and smooth. So what I would do is, you can absolutely do it. Knock the corners off, get it turned down, and then start sanding from there. Like I said, just be aware. What you don't want to have happen is like a cork ring and a cork ring, and then you have this like, woo, you have like a belly in the EVA because the EVA sands a little faster, or like as you put pressure, you need to maintain like really solid, consistent pressure across both mediums here. So cork and EVA, so yeah.
Got some good questions here. Let's do a giveaway real quick though.
Yeah, why not?
A sanding kit, giveaway number 1. So yeah, that's gonna be Chris is gonna put together a nice little kit for you guys to get you started on your your grip sanding journey. Let's run that giveaway, see what we got. Get cleaned up a little bit?
A little bit. Well, I'll hold my breath. But...
Actually, I got a couple good questions that you're gonna have to you're gonna have to answer here. Oh, Lonnie L. Lonnie L. Stand by for that last name. Have just a second here.
Can't wait, Hunter.
Stand by, stand by.
And we have our extra fine is 320. Our fine, I think, is 120. And then our like medium grit's 80 for those that asked. Sometimes they ask. Oh, that's easy.
Lonnie, does that say Little? Yeah, Lonnie Little. Good stuff there, Lonnie. Make sure you email if you're watching right now. And even if you're not, later on down the road, you can still email live@mudhole.com, LIVE at mudhole.com. And Chris will get you taken care of.
Yep.
All right, couple of questions.
Okay.
Dave Morton has got a good question here about a Tennessee handle.
Uh-oh.
He's building a Tennessee handle from two identical handles. How do I cut them so they will blend together without an obvious line where they join together? Need to build with real rings in place. So for context here, if y'all are not familiar with a Tennessee handle, specifically the one that Dave is talking about, it's usually a fairly long grip, say, 12 inches or so, 12 to 16 inches, however long, total length.
Yep.
Full length grip. It's tapered on both ends and then kind of goes skinny or, smaller diameter towards the middle. And you have two locking rings, graphite slip rings is sometimes what they're called. What you do is you'll actually cut that full length Tennessee handle right down the middle. You'll install these rings and then you'll take that, apply it onto your fishing rod or onto your blank, and then you'll glue that actually back together. So your slip rings, your spin rings, they'll sit kind of in the middle section of that full length grip, and the two larger taper ends work to actually keep those rings on the grip. So anyway, long explanation there, but got any tips for Dave on how to hide that seam line?
But what did he say about that? He's got two pieces or something?
He's building two identical handles. So the question is, how do they blend together without any obvious lines?
And I'm guessing it's cork?
Yeah.
So I know this sounds ridiculous. And we've done it in another show before. But if you break the cork, it goes back together.
I remember now. That's a good tip.
It's ridiculous. Here, I'll show you here. So this was the cork I just did the, the tenon on, right? And if I cut it, if you use that jeweler saw on high speed, you can cut it pretty. That doesn't create a big seam because it's such a fine blade.
Mm-hmm.
So and this happens when you cut like wood on a chop saw. The thicker the blade is, not that you're going to have more of a seam, but you're going to separate like some of these grains in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what's going to make you see the seam. If you take this, and let's see if I can break it right.
I hope you can replicate this.
I know, right? So I take it and break it and try not to have pieces shatter out of this grip.
It sounded pretty clean.
Yeah, that was pretty clean. Okay. And kind of wiggle it back and forth a little to make sure it breaks and doesn't shatter. Okay, so we broke it, right? And then when you go to put this thing back together, that little piece there is gonna put. Okay, so there you can see the break, right? See the break? Whoop. Okay. See the break, right? See how when I press it back together really tight, you can't see the break, right? Trust me, it's better if you break it. I know it seems so ridiculous, but see, I back off it a little bit. See the break?
It's like a magic trick.
It's like I'm barely touching it and you can see the break, right? I press it really, really hard together and you almost can't see it, right? It's going to go together better like a puzzle if you break it rather than, of course, that one piece ended up on the floor. Hang on. It's going to look better than this. Got me? Okay, so see I cut it there? You can still kind of see it, and I'm pressing it together really hard, but you can still, I can see that line a little better. And it's hard because it doesn't have anywhere to mate up, right? You can get it pretty good, but I feel like I can still see that seam better. Yeah? Hopefully that's coming across. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Crazy enough.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but break it and glue it back together. But don't break it like, you know, you did as a kid, like breaking sticks
Pieces
in the
going
yard.
everywhere.
Yeah. Be really careful to break it, and you'll be, trust me, you'll be better off. And actually, we figured that out because our dear friend Guffey was putting together a fly grip, and he was turning it and everything was good. I want to say he was taking it off the mandrel, and he broke it and cracked it. And I don't think it broke the whole way. And he was like, dude, the poor Guff, man.
Devastated.
He came to me like, it's ruined. And I was like, it's not. Well, it's already like, just push it back together and glue it and ream it.
Never knew.
Never knew. So break it.
Sometimes mistakes can lead to good tips.
Yep. So break it.
You want to hit some more questions or we keep going?
No, hit some more questions. I'm still setting something up. I want to try to destroy something.
Mike asked, what was the what glue was used for the cork? Can you refresh us on that, Chris?
Yeah, the Tight Bond was
Tight
used.
Bond 3 Ultimate Wood Glue.
Yeah. There is Tight Bond 1 and 2. So there is 1 and 2. So use
You gotta
3.
have 3.
Yeah.
3 and only 3.
And you'll notice when you use it because it's like the waterproof one, and it says it on there. Because I don't think the 1 and 2 say ultimate.
It says, my son started making rods this summer. Now I know what's all over my porch. Assuming he's talking about probably
cork
dust or EVA dust or
Pro glue.
Pro glue.
Hopefully it's Pro glue.
Or thread tag-ins.
Yeah, it might not be Pro glue.
All right. Yeah.
What else?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
got you with that one.
Let's try this one here. What's this? Tyson's that what it said? Yep, Tyson Brown. I have a hand wrapper and want to get a power wrapper kit. What's the difference between the power wrapper and the ultimate power wrapper? So Tyson, difference between our RBS power wrapper and the ultimate power wrapper is essentially 2 main things. For one, it's going to be the rod stands. So the ultimate kit is going to come with 3 of our CRB Pro rod stands. Just the normal power wrapper kit is going to come with the CRB stands. So just a difference in stands. And the other part that's a difference is going to be your thread carriage. So the power wrapper kit comes with a 2-spool. The ultimate kit comes with a 4-spool. So that's the 2 main differences. So if you're, turning a bunch of grips and, doing custom grips and things like that, especially if you're going from, full EVA blocks or you're putting together your own cork handles, go with the ultimate kit. These Pro stands are the deal for higher RPM, handle turning and things like that. The CRB stands are great too, but, if you're really looking to spend some money on a very nice power wrapper kit that's going to last you a very long time, just go for it. Go for the ultimate kit. Be my recommendation. What else we got here, Chris?
You tell me. You're running it. My man tonight.
How about this one? Go back to, I think this is some of the Fuji stuff here.
Okay.
Do you need to fill the end of the foregrip end where the aluminum winding check is on a uni hood? That's from Scott. Does that make sense? Do you need to fill the end of the foregrip? Oh, yeah, I follow him.
No.
No, I don't think you do.
No, because you're going to be like the seat's going to be glued.
Mm-hmm. So you got one?
I'm guessing that is this a VSS? This is a VSS. So if I'm understanding this question, Hunter, follow along with me here. So this is a VSS with the hidden thread sleeve, right? When you put this on a rod blank, it's actually, you can see the rod blank in there. Obviously, this is not a rod blank. So he's asking, like, do you need to fill this in? Because there's going to be a sleeve that comes over the top. When the rod blank's obviously going to come out of this, right? So that gap, I actually, you know me, I'm a tape arbor kind of guy. So up here in the front, when this hood is off, you have all these threads up here, right? Whoop. You have all these threads up here, okay? So I'm going to put a arbor up here in this section of the reel seat. I put one down here, and I put one up here, right? So you're going to have an arbor, and I usually leave like maybe an eighth or a quarter of an inch, maybe, back, so that we can put glue in there. So really, like nothing, and then I'd like make sure that I stack glue around it. So nothing should ever get in there, and you really shouldn't see it, really, because then the sleeve's going to come over the top, then you get the winding check, and the new ones are EVA. So like these are, and this is not the right size, but bear with me. And the EVA comes out, so you can actually like ream it, right? This EVA disc acts as a winding check, and I know he's not talking about this one, but that one will fit down over it, and then of course you'll bore that hole out a little more, right? If you have the metal one, there's going to be a gap there, but you don't have to put anything there. You're good, because this will be all filled in. And it really just doesn't, because I have the one that he's talking about. And I have the one that he's talking about on the Suka 2 spinning and casting. And it's the same way. And I don't get any like water or any, it's just, so yeah, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. I assuming that that's what he was talking about there.
Let's see. You ready to dive into the next thing, or?
Yeah, I'm going to do this real quick.
Let's do it.
I think that we did this before, and he was asking about cutting carbon fiber. And we cut it with the, remember when we did I'm going to spin this around so it turns a different direction. Because I want the spinning away from me when I cut this with a blade. Perfect.
Yeah, Scott said thanks, so I think you nailed his question there.
Remember when we did this with, we made these custom ones?
Mm-hmm.
We took them and cut them. Now again, please be careful when you do things like this. This is turning away from me. New blade. This is CFX. So yeah, it'll cut it. Cut it really nicely, actually. Let me see if I can get that off of there without like breaking this. Yeah, there we go. Boop. All right. And then this stuff sands like crazy easy. You got to be like careful. This one I'm just going to touch up with a. So yeah, just cut you a band, bink, right? And that is. Let me take this off and show you real quick. I mean, there ain't no problem there, and it's not ragged or jagged. and you're good. So if you end up with a carbon seat that you want to create a tenon for, take you a fresh blade, spin it high, work it through there, and you'll cut it. It doesn't splinter out. Remember, because the resin is infused like all the way through this. So I've never noticed like it never really splintered out. It never really, like when we cut it before, because we hadn't cut this in a while. But when we did it, we were, you take the sleeve of carbon, you go over the core, and then you zip tie it to the mandrel, and then you got to cut it off. So like, if you do that, and then now you need to create your tenon, that's how you do it. You just cut it again. Or if you just want to edit it up. Cool. All right. That's why we do it live. A little wing and a prayer there.
Thomas, you can definitely turn EVA with sandpaper to shape the grip. I mean, you can use sandpaper for basically all the materials. Now, obviously, you don't want to take sandpaper directly to carbon fiber. I don't think that's going to get you too far.
And you got to be careful with the blocks.
Yes, you do got to be careful with the blocks.
Sandpaper with the
yeah,
blocks.
yeah, you definitely need to round those out before, round them out with the chisels or something to that effect before you hit them with sandpaper. Good point, Chris.
Yeah.
But
otherwise,
like
if you just have these guys,
yep, have at it.
Just start sanding.
Yeah, same with cork, same with the EVA, same with the foam cores for the carbon grips.
Right.
But again, just be cautious with sanding just straight up carbon fiber. That's you could do it, but
well, you can do it, especially if you do if you coat it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Coat
it with some Pro Coat or something like that.
So like this is coated and then polished, right? So this is coated and then not polished, and then out here to polished, sand it and whatnot, and you can coat it and sand it a little bit and whatever. What you don't want to do though is you start sanding it and you get wild with it and then it gets hairy. If you then coat it after that or do whatever, but it's probably because some of this carbon fiber, yes, it's impregnated with the resin, like but you can make it hairy. So nobody wants hairy carbon fiber.
No. All right, what else we got here? Let's see. Yeah, Mike, definitely. If you're turning grips, you need a clean room and you need a dirty room. That's the best way.
Or somebody even said like they took it outside.
Or outside, yeah, that's
yeah.
Even better.
Somebody was like, I just toted it outside.
Or a great shop vac. That's also a good one.
We have one of those.
Yeah, Mal, definitely. Ultimate kit all the way. Those Pro stands, they're the ticket. They're the deal.
Well, and of course, when we were turning these grips and stuff, we're only using the mandrels, so I didn't have the entire 8 foot of track. We just had the short section. So this is pretty easy. You saw me take it and spin it around. So. Yep.
Oh,
and since we were talking about glues, let's talk about EVA real quick.
Yeah.
While we're doing that. This is the EVA glue. Weld wood contact cement. And it's weird and it's gross, but it's what you need. Now, come right here for me. I'm gonna open it. So what you do is, see, it's kind of like stringy, right? Take one side like this, and you're going to brush it on, okay? I've even seen Mary will take like a big chunk of EVA and use it as her application, like brush, instead of using a brush. Pay very, very close attention to getting it on the edges, over the edges. It's got to go all the way to the edge, right? Then you set it aside. See how it's like shiny, right? So you got it on there. You don't have to glob it on there, but just get it shiny, okay? And then set it aside. Now, if you're doing a bunch of different grips and a bunch of different things, go through them all and put them in like a line so that by the time, maybe if you got a bunch of different cuts and pieces or whatever, by the time you get done with the last one, you can go around and do it. Always 2 coats, or at least 2 coats. Don't just do 1 coat. And you need to do, if this piece is going to get stuck to this piece like this, you got to do both sides. And if you don't have a bandsaw and you got a really ugly tooth saw, see how that's real hairy? You need to take that and sand that. Okay, you can take it and put it down on some sandpaper and do some figure 8s and clean it up and it'll look like that. See how that's smoother there? But this, you can't do that. So when I say that there's things that I show you that you're not supposed to do, this is too rough, right? The teeth on that saw were too, didn't have enough teeth per inch, as they say. So this has got to get sanded, or if you have a really nice, put it in a bandsaw, you'll be good. So then, see how that this is like drying? It's not as shiny as it was. Once it's like not as shiny, put you another coat, but then you're also going to put 2 coats on this one and then stick it. Now, when you stick it, it's stuck, okay? So make sure that when you hit them, that you hit them right and square. Let me show you this is what not to do, / this is what to do. So, if you see this side, so what I did is I just came in with a chisel, and then there was a round nose in there that I scooped this out. Get in really, really tight on this seam. So this seam is like really nice seam. See that? Now the other side is not. See how it's got gaps in it? Okay? This is what happens when you do not make sure that you run it to the edge. Now if you look, we have a little bit of little depth that we can go, and it will, most of the time, it will eventually get to a good seam where it's glued, but it's not guaranteed. So also, if you have a really jagged set of hairy cuts, I don't know what's, we need to stay off that. So if you got really jagged cuts, right, you might get to the point where you're like turning this grip down and you get right to where you want to get to, and then it ends up looking like bad cork, and it's got like pits in it. So that's why when you glue these things together, they need to be nice. But this side, I try to take extra care to make sure that I had a really nice glue line, and this side I tried to leave where it's kind of boogered up, and you can see I succeeded at boogering it up. But that's just to let you guys see. This is what it's supposed to look like. And this is what it looks like when it's either not smooth or sanded, or you don't run your glue lines to the end. And you just got to you might want to be like, well, we're not going to use a 1-inch diameter grip. We're going to do a 7/8 of an inch diameter grip and hope that it gets right. So, and see, it's kind of off here a little bit, but I did that on purpose just to try to screw it up. So, you're welcome.
Wes says you can wet it again to get them apart. So just in case you do make a boo-boo there or mess up,
yes,
you can wet them again and pull them apart.
And see, that one's ready for another coat. So there you go. So then you'll just do another, and it's weird because it's really not like that sticky. But you do another coat, you do 2, and then boop, it is stuck like Chuck. All right.
Let's do another giveaway.
Yeah.
Giveaway
It's
number.
almost 8 o'clock. How did we get here?
I know.
I thought we were going to do a short show.
All right. Giveaway number 2 of the night. 18-inch Reamers, set of 3.
Okay.
So let's run that giveaway. See what we got.
Get a good name.
Switch back over.
Yep.
Cool. Jeffrey B. Jeffrey B. Stand by for that last name.
Mm-hmm.
Might be more than one Jeffries in the chat.
Yep. Ron was saying, wear proper PPE when sanding carbon fiber. Carbon fiber dust is extremely bad for your lungs. Yeah, really, any of the dust is. But if you saw this PPE that I had going on over here, you might take your chances.
Jeffrey Blair. Congrats, Jeffrey Blair.
Nice.
You've got 3 18-inch Reamers. Make sure you email live@mudhole.com so you can claim that prize. All right, now we're going to finish up the show with questions, because I did not get to all the questions. There were still some good
Yeah.
ones in there.
Jonathan said tips for, whoops. Uh-oh. Jonathan was asking about doing the EVA, more than sandpaper, less than a lathe and turning tools. Jonathan, you'd be surprised. Like, I know that the turning tools, you know, there's a cost involved, but to be honest with you, you could chuck a mandrel in a drill and do it.
Yeah.
Like, be real careful, you know, especially if one hand's running the drill. Maybe you got a, you know, significant other that can run the drill. But you can get it done without an RBS Pro G2 or without a lathe. You can also take, and all you have to do is get these edges cut, right? You just got to cut them off. And yeah, we're just using a lathe to do that, but you can take and cut it. You can take that hacksaw or another and just go and take it off. And it doesn't have to be perfectly like this before you can get after it with sandpaper. So yeah, we're using a lathe and an RBS Pro G2. We're cheating a little bit, but with a little imagination and whatnot, you can do it. The max RPM for turning grips, Ron, I don't have an exact RPM for that. I would say, though, the faster, the better. I feel better when it's going fast. I feel like that the tool's not going to grab or the sandpaper's not going to kind of bog down. I like running it just wide open. You know, just be careful. But no, I don't have a special like, oh no, it needs to be 5,400 RPMs only. I usually turn it up and let it rip. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Sorry. What about sanding screen? Sanding screen is good. Drywall sanding screen works well and removes material fast. You're exactly right.
Definitely.
I don't use it a whole lot, to be honest with you, because I either do it with the chisel and then I just come in with a sandpaper. I don't use the sanding screen a whole lot, but you absolutely can. Mike, when and what can be wet sanded? The Magic Eraser is great because, as I said before, it's about 4,000 to 5,000 grit when it's wet. That is excellent. You can wet sand your EVA with the Magic Eraser as well. It also cleans it really nice, but it takes like zero material off. But it really cleans up the lines. And especially if you're doing a lot of different colors and you have some white in there, you can really get the white. Because sometimes people will sand it and go, well, the white looks terrible. Like we've got that Beetlejuice script down there that we did. To get it white, wet sand it with a Magic Eraser. So let's see. Yeah, exactly. Mike said he's cheap. All thread rod, car wax, nuts, washers, and a drill.
That'll get
We've
the job
all
done.
been there.
Yeah.
Promise you, we've all been there. Let's see. Alan is all the way in Alaska. We appreciate that, Alan. Let's see. Tim, if somebody wants to dabble in it without spending a bundle, what size diameter mandrel for inshore and bass fishing blanks? If you want to touch cork at all, ever, I would get the 1/4-inch mandrel. You're pretty much always going to have to deal with that. You can get EVA in quarters. You can also do, if you're still with us, you can do what you saw me do earlier, that CFX grip. It's not a 1/4 and it's not 3/8. I think it's like a 300. So it's a really weird, I arbor it with tape. So you can take a 1/4-inch mandrel and arbor a 3/8 EVA or cork, and you can get by with it just fine, just as we arbor a reel seat.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea to put some tape under most.
Yeah, and it holds it a little bit.
Most of the grips.
It's got some grab to it.
Even if you're using the same ID to mandrel side, not a bad idea to throw some tape on there.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, do we have some cork filler down there? Can we show that cork filler? Because I think Brian earlier asked. Now you can use this cork filler, golden oak. It comes in like a pasty kind of stuff, right? Make sure you got to cut the top off. I don't think we've used this in a while. So this, anyway, so it's I think it's pretty much dried up. This is an old on the set, but this is the stuff to use. Now, you can also take some Tight Bond and all of this cork dust that I've got up here. If you want to go crazy and you're really wanting to do all of that, you can shoot some Tight Bond in a mixing thing and mix it up, or you can use this. Now, if you have some big voids, don't just fill like a 1/4 inch hole with this and expect it to be okay. You're going to have to work it in and let it dry and come back and do it again and come back and do it again. And kind of like treat this like drywall. Put more than you need and then come back and sand it off. But this is it. That's the stuff. Let's see what else. Rick, yes. As a matter of fact, you can cut the mandrels. It's not easy, but you can. I had to do it to mine. I had an older lathe from like Harbor Freight or something before I started doing this, and the length of the mandrel. The good news is that the end you cut off, even if you just so happen to not make a perfect cut, you know, it's going to go in the chuck side, and all of our mandrels, they have live centers in both ends. So it doesn't matter. You can cut, if you want to cut this end, or you want to cut the other end, it doesn't matter. There's live centers in each end. That's what a dirty, rusty live center looks like that's been used a lot. But they're in both ends. And yes, you can cut it. I don't remember how I cut mine. I think I cut it with a Dremel. I do a lot with a Dremel.
Everything.
Except turning grips. But yeah, cut your mandrel. Just get it to fit, and then both ends are live centered, so you'll be good to go. So that's funny. Alex was in the showroom and shop yesterday. Alex Blanchard, it was good to meet you too. And I think John gave him the old 10-cent tour.
Nice.
Took him up here in the studio and showed him around.
Good stuff.
And yeah. Oh yeah, Brian, I got your question there with the cork filler. Fill the voids after shaving the cork. Now, I will admit, I hate cork filler. And almost every single cork grip on the face of the earth has cork filler in it. They all have it. I would almost rather my cork look like a dog chewed it than have a bunch of cork filler. I hate it. It usually comes out anyway. I build it for me. I don't mistreat any of my stuff, but like if you look at all my fly rods, it's going to be like somebody's fished those fly rods. And it's like, yeah, they're all seasoned up, you know? It's got good juju on them. It's like, that's what I want. I don't want my fly rods to look like brand new. I treat them very nicely, and treat all my stuff nice, but I'm not going to scrub the cork. And I just buy a little bit nicer cork. Like, you know, this cork here is pretty nice. And yeah, you're always going to get a little bit of voids, but this doesn't have any cork filler in it, right? But these are really like, obviously this has some composite and some burl in it, but like all of these little voids in it, it's nothing. Hand me that VSS one there. But then you look at this thing, and you're like, oh man, that looks beautiful. Look how great it looks under the studio lighting. Yeah, well, fish it for a little bit, and then some of these voids start popping out and whatever. And none of them are ever really that bad. Your cork's not just going to like crumble in your hand, but just let it ride. Let all the fish slime tell the story. I try to stay away from the So anyway, let's see. Do we still sell the loose grit? We still sell the loose grit for the reamers, right? The old big bag of,
we do.
Looks like asphalt in the bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure do.
Mike, we do. And then we also sell 2 grits for your reamers, right?
Yeah.
So the extreme reamers, these guys, they come with, these are long ones, They come with like 75, and then we sell 50 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It's
Very close.
but we sell another grit of this too if you want to re-grip them or you want to like make your own.
Yeah, you can get the strips or just the loose grit and
Yeah.
grit the whole thing.
Wes Christie, just paint the cork. Wes,
Paint it.
I know you're kidding. It's not something to joke about. Get out of here with that. Let me guess, you don't paint like over brick on the outside of your house too, do you? Come on now. Yeah, that can be nice. I get it. All right. Is there anything else? Yeah, Mike says, I smell Hot Pockets.
Yeah, they're getting
Bro,
warm.
I feel you too. And somebody's got to get back in the pool if they're not already there. Let's see. I'll hit Clara's. What's the best thing to treat cork with? I use cork filler and repaired the old cork, so what can I treat it with? We got cork seal.
Cork seal,
maybe?
cork seal.
U40 cork seal. Isn't it U40?
Yep, I don't see it.
Yeah, sorry. You can see how much we use it. We don't have it on set. Cork seal's good. It's fine. It does its job. I don't particularly like it, but it does keep your stuff nice. It's just kind of like a light sealant. It's not going to make it feel like tacky or gross or anything. I just don't do it. But you can use that, Clara, if you put in the work to make it all nice and that whole thing. Absolutely. Oh, okay. Well, a trout painted onto a trout fly rod. Yeah, you got to try it. Yeah, you can do that. Or I've seen there's an artist that does like wood burning into the cork.
Yeah.
Now that's big time. All right, that's it. Let's do a rod kit of choice, and we can get y'all out of here at a decent time.
Let's do it. Last giveaway of the night. Let's run that giveaway. See what
Rod
we
kit
have.
of choice. As with all the other winners, live at mudhole.com. Get with me on a rod kit of choice. It's got to be within reason, but any of those rod kits from
Greg S.
Yeah. Hunter's got some signature kits. I've got some.
Yep, absolutely.
Crowley, Scrog Dog.
Matt Steffen,
Yeah.
Jim Crowley, Big Show Scroggins, Greg S. Greg Stone.
Man.
All right.
I think we used up all the good
Yeah.
names earlier.
Yeah, for sure.
That was it. Yep. Real quick, Samantha, what do you use for doing painted or hydro dipped cork? There is a urethane 2K spray that I think Don Schaefer puts over. He uses like a clear coat.
A top coat.
You can do that. You're gonna need to seal it. You can put rod finish over it. You can use permagloss somewhere that we don't have here. You can put finish over it. You can put like a spray urethane 2K. It comes in a can. Then it's a clear spray over that. So you can do that, but you're gonna want to. If you hydro dip or you do something like that, you're gonna end up like taking it off if you're really holding on to the cork and doing that stuff. So yes. All right. I think that is about it, and we'll get out of here. I hope that I got to all of your questions. Just making sure. Yep. Cool. The next show is going to be something kind of cool. We're going to do it's going to be called Refurbed Rods. Is that a working title or is that Refurbed Rods?
Refurbed rods.
Yeah, so we've got some I went digging for some junk in the back, and these guides look like they've been through it. Just old, nasty finish.
It's been through something.
This all looks like kind of a mess. The EVA is kind of bad. There's even I know. There's even paint. You can see this is a fiberglass blank. You can see the paint rubbing off here. Things like that. We're going to kind of go through and turn maybe a Goodwill find into something you can fish again. So we've got a couple beat up handles. We've got some terrible looking guide wraps. And not that they were bad, it's just they're old. So refurbed rods, and that's going to be, what was the date on that, Uncle Phil? July something?
22nd.
July 22nd at 6:30 Eastern, episode 124. Whew. All right. Cool. Well, it's 8:10 here Eastern. Appreciate everybody in the war room. I know Birdman was helping out. Steve was in there. Who else did we have? Was that it so far? Hoffman was at the house, but working like Birdman. The guys are doing remote. We've got a satellite war room is what we got going on. Steve and his wife are in the building. Of course, Justin on the Zoom. Uncle Phil on the ones and twos. My left-hand man, Hunter McCamey. I'm Chris Adams, and we will see you guys, if not at ICAST, here in Orlando.
Couple weeks away.
We'll see you at July 22nd for Refurb Runs. Thanks for watching. We hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you next time. See ya.
Thanks for watching.